Okay, so your next presentation is Heather Ling. Heather has been working together with Brenda this year and has done a fantastic job. She's going to talk to you about information on our AIS Education and Monitoring Program. Big round of applause for it.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah, I've been working with Brenda since the beginning of June, and one part of my job was organizing our Aquatic Invasive Species program and also helping out with the zebra and quagga mussel monitoring program. So we kind of already been touching on this a little bit. So an aquatic invasive species is kind of like, you know, a weed that you find in your garden, but it happens underwater, but it also includes things like fishes and mussels. And I kind of did a little comparison. There's the Eurasian water milfoil and our friend the Horiolistum that you get to see all over the place. So some general concerns. Mike touched on the food web competition. This is a picture of the milfoil kind of encroaching on native species. So they do compete with each other for nutrients and light and that kind of thing. And then Lisa touched on also the displacement of native species. This is a picture that was taken in our lake, and it is a field of milfoil, and you can't really see any other native species in there except for a little bit of large-leaf pondweed, but it's possible that could get snuffed out too. So a big concern for us is also the decline in tourism and recreational use. So this is a picture on Lake Michigan in Wisconsin, and that is a beach covered in mussels. So you can imagine if these were to get introduced into our lakes, this is what our beaches would look like. And these things stink and they cut up your feet, so you know our recreational use would go down majorly. And then also the economic impacts. So the Hoover Dam spends $1 million a year just removing all their mussels out of their irrigation. And I think it was the Okanagan Basin Water Board that did an impact assessment that if these were to get into the Okanagan system in the south, that it would cost $43 million a year to control. So big money for these guys. So these are some of the species that we have within Christina Lake. Of course, Andy was talking about the Eurasian water milfoil. So there's that guy. This is the fragrant water lily. You can see this in Christina Creek. This whole colony on the right-hand side has appeared within the last 2 years. So although they're pretty, they do outcompete the native species that are supposed to be there, and they just reproduce like crazy. So that's something that we might need to look into. And our newest aquatic plant invader, the curly-leaf pondweed. This picture was also taken at the mouth of Christina Creek, and yeah, there's a nice little patch of it there. And then we also have 13 introduced fishes. So you can see from this picture, there's a lot. So there's a lot of competition happening within the lake, so that's why fish don't get too big, because they're all trying to go for the same food. But yeah, most of these were introduced by fishermen, and then the rainbow trout and the kokanee were by government stocking, and then it's either large or smallmouth bass was also introduced by the government. And then we have our newest introduction, yellow perch. So that's another one that's in the lake now too. So this is all about our AIS program. We did this in partnership with the Boundary Invasive Species Society. So we went down to Dover, Idaho, and we did some training with Tom Wolf down there, how to inspect your boats properly, what to look for, all the nooks and crannies that you have to look in. And also we learned a little bit about the biology and the ecology of the mussels. So our program, it consisted of 3 days a week down at the Texas Creek Boat Launch. We had a gazebo set up there. I don't know if you saw us there. We were handing out educational information and mostly looking for boats coming from high-risk areas. So we had our distribution map. We knew where the mussels are. So any license plates, we were looking for any of those guys coming from those areas. So yeah, we provided the public with lots of educational material, and we were planning on doing the voluntary boat inspection component, but as we all know, down at the Texas Creek Boat Launch, you can get a bit crazy, so we didn't really have room to do the voluntary boat inspection component, but we're hoping to incorporate it next year. So these are some of our educational materials. We have our aquatic bulletin that Brenda wrote and just came out this year. We have a wallet card, little tiny guy you can take with you. It tells you all about how to clean your boat properly and some facts about mussels. And then we have our rack cards too. So yeah, we got lots of stuff out there. So our report. So this is a picture of the boat launch, and we were right to the right-hand side there, hanging out. And we also visited 19 resorts and businesses, and we chatted with managers and provided them with any information. So it's all available at the hotels and that kind of stuff too. We saw 319 boats come to the boat launch. So a lot of boats. Only about 27% of them came and visited the gazebo. And we think that's probably because, you know, people are trying to get in the lake as fast as they can or get out as fast as they can. So when it was a little bit slower down there, we actually got a lot more people visiting the boat. Everyone we talked to was totally receptive, and I was actually pretty surprised at the amount of people that didn't know about these mussels and the effects that they could have on our lake. So when you do tell people, they're like, oh, okay, I don't want a $250,000 fine. So the only problem we had was we had so many people taking notes, so we're going to think about some different note-taking procedures and get some better data next year. So this is the zebra mussel distribution in North America. You can see the newest dot at the top there in Lake Winnipeg, so that's the newest introduction that they found. And so they're pretty all over the states there, and the Great Lakes. The stronghold in the states is the Pacific Northwest up in the top. There's 5 states that don't have them. So, and this is the quagga mussel. So mostly we just hear about zebra mussels, but quagga mussels are all out there too, and they're the same genus, and they still have the same kind of impacts, but just a little bit different life cycles and that kind of thing. But yeah, there's the distribution. They're all over the place. So some of our other program highlights, we had a meeting with our MLA Linda Larson and the MP Alex Adamanenko, and Grace attended that meeting as well. And we were discussing getting mandatory boat inspections implemented at all the crossings into the province, which would be awesome. It was really great also raising awareness about all the effects that these can have on our lake and that kind of thing, so that was a big thing for me. And also encouraging the public to do their part in preventing the spread is also important too, and education. So we also have a zebra and quagga mussel monitoring program. We were in our 5th year, so next year will be our 6th year. So we have these artificial substrate samplers. We attach them to docks, and then they kind of just dangle down, and then we check them at the end of the summer and see if there was any mussels on there. So me and Barb checked all these traps at the end of the summer, and we didn't find anything, so that was awesome. So these were at really high boat traffic areas like Shoeley's and Scans, Christina Lakeside Resort, the Texas Creek Boat Launch, and Doug Shannon's dock. We also would like to get on the boat for early detection efforts of the larvae. They're just tiny little floating larvae that are in the water column. We can catch these using plankton nets, so that's something we're hoping to incorporate with our water quality sampling, our monitoring program in 2014. So just a little plug here, prevent the spread. So clean, drain, dry, that's kind of the message that's been going throughout the province, is clean, drain, dry your watercraft. That includes everything from canoes to kayaks to sea-doos and everything in between. Do not transport live fish. It's illegal, don't do it. We already have 13 introduced species in the lake, and I don't think we want any more. Another big issue is people dumping their aquariums into water bodies, and it's possible that the curly-leaf pondweed, that this is the way that it got into the lake, was someone dumping their aquarium. So yeah, and then Lisa touched on this a little bit, some other aquatic invasive species to watch for. The American bullfrog, you can see that guy, the tadpole alone is covers the whole hand. And these guys can eat whole chicks or baby turtles and all kinds of stuff. And then the northern snakehead, the red-eared slider is the one that you get at the pet store. They live for 40 to 50 years, and I don't know too many kids that keep a turtle for 40 to 50 years. And then also hydrilla, it kind of looks like our native Alodia canadensis, but it's also another bad invasive species. So for 2014, we do want to get the zooplankton hull net and incorporate that in our water, our mussel sampling. And then also we would like to get some more signage out there. I know when you go into the Okanagan, you can see some big mussel signs, and we'd like to have that around here as well. And also at all of our campgrounds, to just get it out there and let people know, you know, this is a big problem. We don't want them in our lake. We're also hoping that maybe we can do boat inspections at the Welcome Center since Texas Creek was so crazy. And then we're also hoping to get a microscope and do some identification training so that we can detect these mussels sooner. And lastly, a master's proposal for native revegetation following removal of the Eurasian water milfoil. This is something that I'm hoping to do, a master's project looking at when they remove the milfoils, getting a healthy native plant population going to prevent the milfoil from coming into those areas more. So that's something that I'm going to be working on pretty soon here. And that's it, short and sweet.
Heather has done a fantastic work with the stewardship this year. We are so lucky to have her. So thank you, Heather.